Thank you, Lauren. It is a joy to be here with you and share with you just a few moments today. I'm impressed at the number who gathered here today with the weather as bad as it is on the outside. Reminds me of a time that a country preacher, every Sunday he got up and he was very positive. He was always upbeat. But he had one cynic that showed up on a really bad day. And this cynic said in his own mind about the pastor, he said, there's no way he can be positive today. Because always in his pastoral prayer, he was very positive, thanking God for things that were going well. And so he said, he can't do it today. Well, the country preacher stood up and he said, God, we thank you that today is, it's not like this every day. And so he always found something good to say. And I want you to know that there's a lot of good that can be said about our state and about the freedoms that we have. And I want to reiterate what Roy said a few moments ago. Why would the Christian Action Commission, basically a religious organization, be concerned about Common Core education? If you know anything about us, we've been mandated by our convention to be involved in the life of the family. We want what is best for the families in the state of Mississippi. Now, is Common Core that? I think there are too many questions that have not been answered that need to be answered. And when you go back and look historically, all the way back to the Bible, all the way through, even in the book of Deuteronomy, we find God saying to the people there, to the Hebrews, I want you to take my commandments and I want you to write them, on the doorpost. I want you to put them to where they can be seen day in and day out. And you teach them when you're, at night and the daytime, all during the day. So God gave the responsibility of educating our youth to the parents, and that is our responsibility. Yes. Now, the problem that I've seen over the years is that we as parents, we have basically shifted that to somebody else. I served on a public school board for about 5 years in McComb, Mississippi. And while I was on the school board, there was a letter that came in to the Enterprise Journal, and it was from a gentleman who lived and his child attended South Pike. I don't mind telling you the school system he was in, but his kid got in trouble. And they suspended him for 3 days. Well, it upset his father, and his father wrote a letter to the Enterprise Journal. And it went something like this. He said, I am disturbed that they suspended my child from school for 3 days. And this was his comment. He said, if they can't control him at school, how do they think I'm going to control him at the house? Now, that's the attitude and the mentality that a lot of people have. And I want you to know that Common Core does not address the major issues in America dealing with education. We as parents have abdicated that to somebody else to do. And we have got to be concerned about that. Even Jesus Christ said, the little children, they're important. Now, I can assure you that if we had gathered here today and we were talking about the physical health of our children, there would be a lot of interest and a lot of concern. But you see, we're not one-dimensional. We're not just physical beings. We're spiritual beings, but we're intellectual beings. And so, would we want something handed to our children that's going to affect their intellectual health that has not been proven?
No.
Even the ones who wrote all of this said it's going to be about 10 or 12 years before we know whether it works or not. Now, I'm not for that. I don't want my child or my grandchildren being inoculated with a drug that has not been tried and tested and proven. And I'm the same way about education. Amen. So that's why we take an interest in it, because again, you're not going to be able to control as parents everything that is presented in the classroom. And I know what they're saying. They say, well, you have control over the curriculum. But I want you to know that the assessment and the test drives the curriculum. Because you're going to teach toward the test so that you might look good, that you might have a passing grade. Now, that's where we're coming from in trying to do what is best for the children in Mississippi. There's not a person in our state, I don't believe, that would argue that education needs to be reformed in Mississippi. But not just any type of reform is what we need. And so we need to motivate from a grassroots effort our parents getting involved in what's going to be taught to their children.
That's right.
You know, there was a passage in the Bible. There's a little book in the Old Testament right before the book of Revelation, the book of Jude. It's 25 verses. And Jude said, I'd like to talk about all the things that we have in common. But he said, among us, there are people, and I'll just throw in programs. I'll spiritualize a little bit. But he said, people and programs and things around us that look like, I mean, it's the panacea. It's the answer.
Yeah.
But he said, there are clouds without water.
That's right.
That's right.
Promise with no productivity.
That's it.
And that's what they are. I'm going to leave you with this. My wife got a little thing in the, you know, how stuff goes around on the internet and all that sort of good stuff. So she got something the other day that I thought was quite interesting. It was a story. No doubt fictional. It was about a man and his wife. They were sitting somewhere up in Sioux City, Iowa, somewhere or another, and it was extremely cold. The weather was bad. And there was an announcement over the radio that said, tonight we're going to have anywhere from 4 to 6 inches of snow, so would you please park your car on the even side of the street so the snow plows can get through. She jumps up, puts on her coat, and says to her husband, said, I'll go park the car. Well, the next night, they're sitting there, the radio is on, the announcement comes over and says, tonight, we're going to have anywhere to 10 to 12 inches of snow, and we want you to park your car tonight on the odd side of the street so that the snowplow can get through in the morning. Well, the third night, sitting there again at dinner, announcement on the radio, went something like this, said, tonight we're going to have anywhere from 14 to 16 inches of snow, and we want you to park the car. And they lost power. She looked at her husband and said, what am I going to do? I don't know where to park it. And as most husbands are, with his tender, loving, sympathetic voice, he looks at his wife and he says, honey, why don't we just leave it in the garage tonight? I'm telling you, common core needs to be left in the garage tonight.